The world is changed. I feel it in my fingers. I feel it in my toes. I see it all around me. I see it on Al Gore's internet. It's been 21 years since the iconic Lord of the Rings trilogy. Many now live who still remember it. And now, they've decided to make another prequel, a series called Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power.
Yeah, so they made another prequel to Lord of the Rings. Um, okay, look, I know what you might be thinking. Doesn't she just do movie reviews? And you would be right. However, in this case, I felt like I had to make an exception because as the chairperson of the Lord of the Rings fan club, I felt like I had to say something. Well, I'm not really the chairperson of the Lord of the Rings fan club, but I could be. Are they looking? Look at this review as a public service, if you will, because there are legions of us Lord of the Rings fans, and, you know, inquiring minds might want to know. When I first heard that they were making this series, I was like, I'm sorry, what? No! I thought that they were remaking the Lord of the Rings trilogy. But then I discovered that no. They are making a prequel which is set way before Frodo's adventure and way before even Bilbo's adventure. And I was like, oh, whew, thank God. But even so, I'll be honest, guys, I wasn't here for it. I really wasn't here for it. Then again, I was kind of curious, and well, you know what they say about curiosity. Now, obviously, I haven't watched all 8 episodes of the series because they haven't aired yet. I have watched 3. And I've used a system that my friends and I use when we watch a series. We'll give a show our customary 3 episodes. If it's good enough, then onwards and upwards. If it's not after 3 episodes, then it's like, goodbye. So, as mentioned before, this is a prequel and it takes place in the second age of Middle Earth. Frodo and Bilbo's adventures take place in the third age of Middle Earth. So, there's literally thousands of years in between. And what was so frustrating for me is that I kept trying to make connections between what was happening in this show and what had happened in the trilogies, and also trying to make connections with some of the characters. And I was literally just like, wait. We do get to see the backstories of Galadriel and Elrond because they're elves and they live long enough to cover both ages. And so we see them and other characters gear up to fight the evil that is returning to Middle-earth. One of the headlines about this show was the astronomical amount of money spent to make it. They reportedly spent $1 billion to make the series. Billion. And look, I'll be honest, it shows. It is stunning, visually, amazing. The costumes, the sets, the cinematography, just the sheer scale of it is incredible. Yeah, no, look, they spared no expense, Shem. No expense. It's a Tolkien story, so it's an adventure. And there are thrills and there are spills. And overall, it's a decent watch. But I feel like with all of that money spent, it's not particularly compelling as a story. It's not gripping and it moves at a snail's pace. Oh my, like there were times when I was like, I'm bored. Can we just get to the point? Oh, I do love the language that is used in the show. Oh, it is beautiful and poetic, and it really does keep in the spirit of Tolkien. Also, I have to shout out the actress that plays Galadriel. She is doing a brilliant job. Morford Clark, I believe. I hope I'm saying your name correctly, sis. Brilliant job. Really, really good. And now, to address the elephant in the room. Yes, there are elves, dwarves, men, and half-foots of color in the series. And no, it's not distracting. And look, I'll be honest. When I heard that they were going to cast people of color in this show, I was like, Oh, I don't know, fam. I'm not sure how this is gonna go because I'm just not used to seeing people who look like me in these kind of stories, like these fantasy stories. Um, so I wasn't sure, but it wasn't distracting at all. There was nothing that made me go, "Oh, hang on." It was perfectly fine. I will say this though. It's all good and well to cast people of color in these traditionally white stories. I personally, and this is just a personal opinion, I personally would rather we create and write new, fresh stories written by people of color and cast people of color and just see something new and different. Somebody has to be writing about black fairies out there. Somebody. I'm available. Cast me. I would love to see these new stories being greenlit and funded because there is an audience for it. Here we are. So, if this was a movie and you had to go to the cinema to see it, I would advise you to take a very leisurely saunter to your nearest cinema. But in this case, I will advise you to take a very leisurely saunter to your smart TV. And yeah, look, it's good, but I'm not even compelled to watch the next episode. So, yeah, it's very average for me. But if you're curious and you really want to see exactly what they did, check out Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power.